Here's another one from CNBC. Dollar will weaken. 3 sectors will rule, strategists say. And they've got the job report. It's worse than what they even put out last week. They went on to say that they should look to technology, energy, and industrial sectors. Continuing, Wall Street rewards to trigger surge in informants, and it reports how the stimulus bill can pay up to $1 million cash rewards to people that rat out their bosses for financial impropriety. But this will all be selectively enforced. I mean, the Securities and Exchange Commission, as Fox News and AP reported in the last 2 weeks, as we reported in the last 3 months on the legislation with Ron Paul and others breaking it down here on air. The Securities and Exchange Commission, when insiders expose Madoff or Goldman Sachs or J.P. Morgan or AIG engaged in out-and-out criminal activity, for decades, the SEC covers it up. And it goes on, new U.S. whistleblowing incentives within the Dodd-Frank Financial Reform Act that could net informants multi-million-dollar payouts are likely to generate a surge in allegations against U.S.-listed companies and Wall Street banks. Yeah, the globalists are going to have whistleblower give them intel and then selectively go after their competition to consolidate things further. We'll be right back. Wall Street rewards to trigger surge in informants. But we know the SEC, as part of the financial overhaul, got language written in where they cannot be reviewed and they can operate secretly. A private Federal Reserve Board is being given full control over every facet of the economy to steal more. The very culprits of the massacre in the chicken coop, the weasels and the foxes, are now being hired to run guard duty on the chicken coop. But they're going to sick the general population on other financial institutions, insurance companies, businesses, where the government can then selectively cherry pick who they want to go after. This is similar to the famous cases that are legion in drug cases, where they have, in some cases, famous informants who testify in hundreds of drug trials and IRS trials, where they just walk in and lie. And the police and the prosecutors know they're lying. They don't care. And so this is part of the new financial terrorism against the general population. And the article goes on, the Securities and Exchange Commission is expecting a sharp increase in tip-offs from senior employees and third parties, prompted by potential 7-figure bounties. The scale of the awards reflects the high quality of whistleblowers we hope for. People within a company, broker, or other related firm that we might not have heard from, Stephen Cohen said, including different accounting firms and law firms that you hire for taxes and CPAs. Isn't that just special? 4 years ago, they changed the federal rules, not the law, but the rules, where CPAs are liable for the tax returns they file for you, and so they won't even give you the supposed tax write-offs that are in law. And now they're just going to be completely on the payroll of the government. That reminds me of the 60-Minute piece I saw more than a decade ago, and since then it's got more attention. Remember the famous case of a guy flying from Virginia to Houston? He'd done it many times. He would pay cash because he got a discount for the trees that would be hauled from Texas via 18-wheeler to Virginia. And he pulled out his wallet with a bank bag with tens of thousands of dollars and paid for his ticket with it. And the lady, it turned out, was making more money a year as a ticket teller, tattling on people, than she was making working as a teller or a airline ticket issuer. She was making over $100,000 a year on that. And they said, look, it doesn't matter if it's his money. It doesn't matter if tax records show he paid taxes on the trees. It doesn't matter. You're not allowed to carry cash, and we're taking it. That's just like the reports you see constantly, usually in Texas for some reason, of small-town cops. They pull over an old lady. She opens her purse up to give them the license. They see $5,000 in cash, and they say, that could be drug money. No judge, no jury. My money. Mine. This is the corrupt system. So I spent too much time on that, but it's an interesting area to discuss. Meanwhile, CNBC reports Tyson's profits surge, beef and pork improve. And, of course, they have a oligopoly here in the United States, and it's come out in major news reports, including USA Today, that they can have, in some cases, hundreds of times the violations in their plants than other companies, but they're allowed to do it, and nobody else is, just like BP had many, many times in Houston alone, in Texas City, violations at their refineries, more than all other refineries combined. That's okay. They get safety awards from Bush and Barack Hussein Obama. That's a.k.a., of course, Barack Hussein Obama, Barry Soetoro. So all part of the monopoly men like Carlos Slim controlling the cell phone market. He just makes billions every year in Mexico because he has a quasi-monopoly down there. That's where the big profits are made. As the founder of the Rockefeller Dynasty said, competition is a sin. Continuing, the United States looking more and more like a third world country dealing with the economy. If you don't have reliable energy, and they want to put massive taxes on coal that supplies 51% of our electricity, and we build just, 2 or 3 new power plants a year. China's building 2 or 3 a week. But under the new carbon taxes, new plants would not even be allowed. U.S. electricity blackouts skyrocketing. CNN reports New York, Staten Island was broiling under life-threatening heat wave that brought President James Molinaro was seriously concerned about the area's Little League baseball players. And it just goes on to mention that they're having massive power outages that are intensifying in the last few years across the United States. We'll come back with more financial news and military news. Then I want to get into the Rockefeller Foundation, along with Bill and Melinda Gates, funding the La Reconquista, La Invasora of Mecha and La Raza, fully funded by the U.S. government and the Pentagon. Yeah, we've got a lot of enemies, folks, but we're going to defeat them. We'll be right back. We've got our big announcement dealing with Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack H. Obama, set to land at Austin International Bergstrom Airport in the next 20 minutes or so to make his way to a $5,000 a plate fundraiser at the Four Seasons Hotel. There's a protest going on at UT where he'll be speaking later at 2 p.m. The media is reporting that it's mainly Obamanoid supporters out there. So if you're not a supporter of the Indonesian citizen, the evidence is clear, born in Kenya, and you don't like his big government takeover of healthcare, his looting with the banks of the economy, get out there and let Slimebag know that you're fully aware of his treasonous, treacherous activities with the open borders, all of it. And we'll put it on screen for prisonplanet.tv viewers. But for Infowars.com readers and for radio listeners, you'll want to make your way over to prisonplanet.com, where this was just posted 5 minutes ago, or Infowars.com, where it's now being posted as we speak by Kurt Nimmo, who, by the way, has now moved from New Mexico to Austin, Texas. He is now in the Rebel Command Base as we defend liberty and resist tyranny. Good to have Kurt here with us. He'll be in studio a lot with us, maybe even filling in the future. I really look forward to having him here. It's very exciting. But Kurt Nimmo is also posting that right now in real time at Infowars.com. Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama's political dynasty, crashes and burns. That's not the big announcement. We saw the media building him up in 2008 elections as God, as Christ. Many media outlets said it was like he's Jesus. He was Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King and George Washington rolled into one. He was going to give you free health care, free cars, free homes. Everything was going to be milk and honey. He was going to end the wars. He was going to stop the torture. He was going to stop the secret arrest. He was going to free the Internet. He has taken everything Bush was doing, and basically it was like adding nitrous oxide to a race car. He's only turbo supercharged it. And so if we were going 200 miles an hour towards the New World Order over a cliff, we're going 300 miles an hour. Total integration. The baton was handed off flawlessly from George W. the puppet to Barack H. Obama, true name Barry Soetoro. Now, here's the big announcement. We've done this 8 times, and every time it's been the #1 search in the last 3 weeks. We do it a few times a week, and I got a lot of emails saying, why don't you make the key search term Barry Soetoro? That was listener recommended by a lot of people on and off air. And great minds think alike. I think that's a wonderful idea. But you can't just make it the key search term without having an article that becomes the #1 link that hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will then link to. And in some cases, hundreds of newspapers and blogs report on the top search terms that we've promoted. But always it's at least 30, 40, 50 or so and causes a big buzz. This won't save the world, what we're about to do, but the act of resistance will go a long way towards it. It's one more step on this 1,000-mile journey, and we're more than halfway there defeating the globalist if we just continue with perseverance to march towards Mount Doom and throw the ring of doom into the fires from which it was made. And by politically destroying and unmasking and revealing the fraud that is Obama, people were awake to Bush. Now they've awoken to Obama, and instead of just now the Republicans are in favor, the Democrats are out of favor, they always tag team us back and forth. Now, because of the fact that people are getting wise to the false left-right paradigm, you have both political parties with record low approval ratings. You don't just have incumbent Democrats in all the major primaries losing. You have incumbent Republicans or candidates that are seen as establishment losing. That's why the Democrats are now running TV ads nationwide, a whole gaggle of them, saying that Republicans are establishment as well, which is actually smart. You know, I told Politico a few months ago, I said, you know, if you attack Rand Paul as an out-of-touch right-wing patriot, you're going to help him. But I said if you attack him as establishment, that's the only success you're going to have. I said, when you attack him, it's an endorsement of him. And so they're actually starting to figure that out. But people are becoming very sophisticated and understanding what's happening. And so to commemorate Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack H. Obama, coming to Austin, Texas, and shutting down the highways, and his wife on her multi-million, it's not a $500,000, it's multi-million if you count all the Secret Service and Air Force Two and the rest of it, and shutting down the beaches and the rest of it, it's in the millions, to commemorate Marie Antoinette and their corruption, to commemorate the fact that we see through his puppetry and that we've already politically destroyed him. Now we've got to educate people to the next level of understanding that establishment Republicans like Mitt Romney and General Petraeus are not the answer as well. The answer is Ron Paul 2012. The answer is nullification at the state level. If we spent the same amount of energy we spend on presidential elections that are rigged to a certain extent by the billions that are given to the candidates by the mega corporations, if we spent the time and energy on the states, which we're starting to do, we can take them back under the remedy the founders gave us, the 9th and 10th Amendment, and neutralize these people big time. And they realize that. That's why they're trying to block the states' rights movement. But I want to put back on screen for people the article, Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Obama's political dynasty crashes and burns. I need you to get this article from prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com, and I need you to post it on your blog, your Facebook, your MySpace. I need you to make YouTube videos about it. I need you to type the name Barry Soetoro, BarrySoetoro, into search engines, but not just Google. Let's do Yahoo. Let's do some of the others. Let's make it #1, the biggest push we've ever done. And you know, I want to do this sparingly, but time is short. Even ABC is announcing that there's a deal between Google and Verizon that begins to end net neutrality and freedom on the web as we know it, meaning they're going to start restricting what sites you can visit or making companies pay more to have their sites be accessible or to load quickly. The federal government, as you know, the FCC and others, the Federal Trade Commission as well, are moving to start censoring the web. They're openly pushing how this is important to do with their Cybersecurity Act and Internet 2 and all of it. So we need to use the web while we've got it. And so I'm taking your recommendations as listeners to make Barry Soetoro the #1 search term. But it's up to you now, and I commend you. I salute you. I thank you for the great jobs you've done. This is your mission if you choose to accept it. Barry Soetoro. You spell Soetoro, S-O-E-T-O-R-O, S-O-E-T-O-R-O.